Well, hey, everybody, welcome back to Client Side Chats. As I say all the time, we always have special guests, and we do. And this one is special, just like everybody else we've had. I got to tell you, it's Rick Pollock. So, hey, Rick, welcome to the program.
Thanks, James. Yeah, I know the big long list of celebrities, and I'm like at the bottom of the list right now, but that's all cool. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And for those of you who don't know who you are, I mean, my gosh, you've been president of society, ASSP. You've done a lot of work in the global space as well as within the US. Tell people a little bit about what you're doing now, because I know you say
Oh,
semi-retired. Yeah, right.
well, I had been on BCSP board and left there, and I got on their foundation for a while. And so,
Ah,
like right now, I'm not on any of those boards, but I'm very supportive of the BCSP and ASSP Foundation. And I started a consulting company. I left my own company, CLMI Safety Training.
yep,
We were sold to HSI, Health Safety Institute, about 3 years ago.
right.
And since then, Rivendell and this other little group I have, I call it the DDLC, Direct Delivery Leadership Council,
Ah,
has been
cool.
keeping me very busy. So this retirement thing didn't last very long.
I can see that. So that's great. Well, hey, let's be sure we cover a little bit about what you're doing with regard to the consulting group you're with right now, this group here, and actually, I think we're going to talk about this group with regard to safety success stories, right? This
Hmm,
is going to be one
great.
that you're going to talk about. So
Sure.
if you don't mind, yeah, get into it and tell us
Oh,
about what defines it as a success, what it's done, how you got there, that kind of thing. So please, Rick, go ahead, take it over.
this is one of those where you kind of scratch your head. So at CLMI, we would put together a number of custom training and education programs, and I typically was working with the ones that were management related.
Mhm.
And we were in the process of putting together a training program for supervisors at Frito-Lay. And these were supervisors that managed their depot operations and their delivery operations, not their
Right.
manufacturing or baking or whatever. And so I had Chad Neese was his name, and he was in our office, and we were working on putting together the overall storyboard and outline for this. And one of the most important things is, well, who's the audience? What is it you want to convey? And are there any other people or any other companies that are doing this now that we might be able to model rather than recreate the wheel?
Hmm.
Well, I asked that question of him, and he kind of had this puzzled look, and he said, you know, in transportation, a lot of companies talk to each other, whether it's bus companies or train companies or whatever. But in this
Right.
delivery space, nobody's talking. What you ought to do is get us together and like get us doing some benchmarking. So the light bulb came on, and I decided, because I could, to send out an invitation to, I think I invited 20 different companies, and I think 12 of them participated fully. And what we did is we put together a benchmarking on what are the elements of your safety program.
Hmm.
And back then, you could pretty well define 12 from a workplace safety and 12 from a transportation safety. And
Right.
so we were asking questions about what you did and how you did it. And then we got down to how well are you executing on this? And just about all of them said, I'd be lying if I told you we were doing better than maybe 50% compliance or 50% total involvement. And so from there, I published a study, ASSP published it, and we had a group come to us and say, hey, would you like to pull these companies together and host a meeting where you can really discuss all this stuff and try to zero in on what's causing this? And
Right.
so we did. And the success piece of it is, through this need of one client, we now have, I think, on my email list, somewhere in the neighborhood of 400 different companies
Whoa.
that are involved in benchmarking and questions and answers. Probably only 50 attend. We have 2 meetings a year. We've
Right.
had 2 meetings a year since 2003. Believe that. I mean, it's amazing.
Wow.
And we have sponsors, like Lytics and different, an incentive company and a few other consulting companies. And it's not a big money maker, but it's one where I feel, even in retirement, I want to keep doing it, because people are really coming back and saying, I got this idea from a DDLC meeting back in 2008, and this is what
Yeah.
we did with it. And we've morphed from very compliance oriented. Now I'd say much more into dealing with issues of fatigue and understanding human error and how to do better root cause analyses. So you're getting at the systemic influencers versus just what the person did and what behavior they were involved in. And
Right.
so, I feel like a lot of those companies are way beyond where they would have been otherwise had we not opened up the door. Or believe this or not,
Yeah.
Republic Services and Waste Management at the same table talking about the same issues.
Yeah.
Coke and Pepsi in the same room talking about. Now we have to watch what soft
Right.
drinks we serve,
Yep.
water, or
Gotcha.
iced tea, and not in a bottle. Uh, but we start every meeting saying, from an antitrust standpoint, the only thing we can't talk about is pricing and any contracts you have with any of the vendors that you might both be working with.
Right.
And once we get that out of the way, we get into it. We bring in speakers. We bring in, I've spoken to the group many times because I'm hosting it, but
Hmm.
we bring in speakers like just this last month, because we can't have face-to-face right now. We're having a series of webinars. And last month we had two researchers from Virginia Tech Transportation Institute talk about their latest research into fatigue and to autonomous braking systems, which,
Ah,
in our world of workplace safety, we wouldn't know anything about this, but these
right.
guys are intently involved in the fatigue issue because of the number of issues. Their drivers have long days, and they're not doing interstate travel usually. So though they might not be driving 10 hours a day, they're working 12, that kind of a
Yeah.
deal, and it's very tiring. So out of that, now we're working on helping them put together fatigue management systems and help people deal with sleep apnea and things like that.
Ah, oh,
So
that's
that's one of,
interesting.
that's one of my successes, and it's still going on. So
And that's great. Great. And I do agree with you. It's only one of many successes I know you've had in your career. So, but do they get a chance to also lay out some of the details with regard to the successes they've had by implementing
oh
some of the things?
yeah,
So they
absolutely.
get
In
to,
fact,
I know there's a sharing going on. I didn't know if there was that
yeah,
depth.
in fact, that's probably the best part.
Ah,
Every one of our meetings, we try and have at least one company share. We said, okay, issues with an answer, we called it for a while, and systems and methods that you've implemented to really improve. And like we're
nice.
having a webinar next Tuesday that is going to deal with how um, community coffee, they're a coffee company headquartered in
Yes.
Baton Rouge,
Hmm.
and they're in many states, but they implemented a driver engagement program that's really driven by the drivers, and their crash rates, their vehicle damage rates, their on-time delivery rates, everything has just gone off the Richter scale since they turned it over to the employees and said, we know you don't want to screw up. So I'm
That's cool.
sorry about that. Uh,
Yeah.
but it's the way a lot of companies are going. You know that, James. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, that's excellent. I mean, thank you for sharing these stories. Thank you for sharing just a snippet, basically, of all the different things that are going on in this group. One of the things I want to do, and I want to make sure that our viewers understand, is that if they want to get a hold of you for that group to really explore it a little bit more, send me information so we can post it up that people can see how they can get a hold of you and get engaged with it. That sound good?
Great. Great. Yeah. And these webinars, anybody can attend. So that's fine. I'll send that to you as soon as we're done.
You got it. Sounds good.
Good.
All right, Rick, thanks for being with us today. Really appreciate it. Look forward to hopefully, if you're up for it, having you again in the future and check in, see how things are going.
Sounds good, James. Thanks for
All
having me.
right.
Have a great
You,
day.
you too. Thanks.
Bye now.